Hi and welcome to my video for the seminar Introduction to Scientific Writing or Scientific Working. I'm going to present you in this video some principles about scientific writing and how to start with your research. This video is dedicated especially for bachelor and master students at our institute, or to be more precise at our group, the CoDis group. And so I want to show you some basics in here. Maybe we start with the very first short introduction, how bachelor and also master usually works and how it is outlined in our group. So you might be here at the very beginning of your journey, like getting started with your thesis, which means you have to select a topic, which you might already have. If you don't have, check out our website. We have a presentation there, share presentation, and you can pick some topic or get in contact with us and talk with us about potential topics. The next thing you will do, or you should do, is to contact your supervisor. Usually on our webpage and also in the slides, you can find who the supervisor is. There is an email address, and then you can just write the supervisor a message. The next step is a first meeting where we get to know each other, where you learn the first things about our group, the topic, where you discuss potential projects, everything that comes with the organizational and also with the project related information. And then you are going to join our CoDis group. We have a Discord server therefore with additional resources. We have all the bachelor, master, and PhD students, also the professor in this group, so Christian Güttel, and we will give you some information there. We will make announcements there. So this should help us to coordinate all of our research activities and also some teaching activities. The next step, we call it scientific start, is where we currently are within this seminar. It's about to define research questions, to define a topic, what you're going to write about, also to do some research on related work, which is quite important that you know who is doing some similar research, who is doing what, and therefore, we will have like a dedicated session on that. Afterwards, you might have a feedback meeting where you get some input, where you get some additional hints what you could do. This is usually the second block of our meeting, so of the seminar. And then we have the next step, which is to define the structure of your thesis, so all the headings and all the further information. And you also will write the first subchapter, about 5 pages, where you will get some first idea on writing. And of course, again, there will be a feedback as well. So besides this asynchronous lesson, we will also have 2 synchronous parts. First, you will get some feedback on research question and your related work. We will talk a bit about that. And the second one is more dedicated to the structure of the thesis, to the different chapters, and also how the chapters are written. And of course, this should be some kind of open discussion where you're also bringing some thoughts, some ideas. Maybe you want to share where you have some issues with. So this should be a very open slot. The next step, which will be sometimes parallel to the scientific start, is start with the project work, which means we will define some requirements based on what you're doing. You might have a progress document where you will work on the different requirements. We might use some Kanban boards, whatever. The next step is to implement the project and to have regular feedback meetings. So this depends a bit on who is your supervisor. You will have some blocks where you will work, and then there will be a block where you have some feedback, which will be in different iterations in a cyclic way, which means you work a bit, then we meet again, have some common thoughts, think about this, and then this will repeat. And another part is the evaluation, which is dependent on what you're doing. So especially for for practical things such as a platform you develop or a system you develop, we usually run evaluations. When it's more some data science task where you have like a data set and work on that, there will not be this evaluation with students or participants. Then the evaluation part is more defining what you did, how the evaluation was, what it was about, or the experiment was about, things like this. This means you have all the practical part in this third phase, and in the fourth phase, it's about writing. This will also be parallel, sometimes more at the end of the project, depending on what you're doing. And this is mainly dedicated of writing your thesis. So we have this approach where you write chapter by chapter, then you will get some feedback from our side, and then you can include this feedback again in your writing. And so this will be also very iterative. And finally, when you're done with your thesis, which means you're happy with what you did, we're happy with what you did, then you will present this in one of our meetings. We have bi-weekly meetings, always on Monday. And within these meetings, you will give some short presentation and present what the project was about. And then you will finally get your grade. Besides that, on the right side, you can also see these regular meetings. As I said, they are bi-weekly. Usually each student is sharing some latest activities on the project, and this is what the meetings basically are about. Now I want to continue with a short overview of the course. So the organizational structure. So it's a mandatory course in Bachelor, and therefore you will get also some credits. The seminar should be mainly dedicated to your thesis. So you will not get some artificial task like writing about X, Y, Z. Everything you do is related to your bachelor thesis, which means assignment 1 and assignment 2, they will be more or less the first steps that you would do anyhow for your bachelor thesis. So this really should help you and bring you further with your bachelor thesis and with your third steps. There are 2 assignments, A1 and A2. I will come in a minute on the requirements and on the exact topics. All the information is in Teach Center. If you have not access to this course, please drop us a message per email or using Discord, and then I will invite you. This is also for the master students that are doing this course. So since they should have done this in the bachelor also, they don't have to do this, but we would highly suggest to do this again, because this will also help you and somehow recall everything in scientific working, which might be some years ago. So yeah, this can also help you. The semester overview is the following. So we will start with the block 1, which we're currently having. It's about literature survey and some basics in how to deal with scientific papers. And you will also get some first assignment, and then you can start with the working. Usually we have about 1 month in between, and then you can hand the assignment 1 in, and then you will get some feedback within the next block. So block 2 is mainly about the feedback of the first assignment and also talking about potential problems and stuff like this. And we will also talk a bit about scientific writing, what it is, how it is done. So this should help you for the second assignment, which will be released on the same date. So when block 2 is held, there will also be the release of assignment 2. Then you have again about a month, and then we have a first deadline, and you will also get another activity related to assignment 2, which is a peer review, blinded peer review. So we will send out the information and the results of the first and the second assignment, which means of the chapter, the structure and the chapter to appear, and they will give you some review. We will also give some review, and then you will get this back. And at the end of this, you will receive feedback from the course lecturers, so from Christian and myself, and also from another peer, which should help you bringing your project and bringing your thesis to the next level. And then we have the block 3 where we give you the feedback, and also where we talk a bit about writing and structuring the thesis. This will somehow be linked to the second block, and then we're done with this course. And as I said, this all has to do with your thesis already. Yeah, enough spoken about the organizational aspects, how it is structured. Let's see what the assignments are about. The first assignment is primarily about literature survey, which means finding the right literature for your thesis. The task is to find 5 related papers using different databases. We provide you with a template. I will link this, and the template is also in the Teach Center. You should create a mind map to explore related topics and concepts. We will give you also an example about that, but this should help you to investigate the research field. You might start with a new topic in very small knowledge about the related concepts, and this mind map should help you to discover other concepts that are somehow related to your concept, and should help you to discover topics that are related, concepts that are related, to have a broader picture of your research field. And another thing you should do is to define 2 research questions that you want to answer within your thesis. This is the assignment 1. The second assignment is mainly about scientific writing, which means you will first of all set up your environment. Usually we work in the group with LaTeX, so you might set up your LaTeX environment. We will provide you with a template as well. We're using Overleaf as a really nice tool where you can set up everything, where you don't have to install additional packages. When you use a local LaTeX environment, you have all to install all the packages and additional stuff as well. And with Overleaf, you don't have to do this. Another advantage of using Overleaf is that we can also have access to your repository, to your project, which means we can give you some feedback, we can write you some comments. This is also nicer than sending PDFs all of the time. Within this second assignment, you will create the first structure, and you will see theses are usually structured very similar. So you will create the structure and define some first keywords for each chapter, that you have a clear goal, what you want to cover in which chapter. And then you should write a subchapter with about 3 to 5 pages of related work, which you have done in the first assignment already. So in the first assignment, you define some papers, some work, and you found this somewhere in databases, in scientific databases, and then you will use all of this to write this first subchapter, and then you get feedback on that. Additional help can be provided using our Discord channel and the bi-weekly meetings that we usually have run on Monday. We will send out an email 1 week before the meeting that this is scheduled, then you can save it in the calendar, and then we have this progress report. When you have some additional things in mind that are not clear, when you need help, please contact your supervisors using Discord, using email. We will also provide you with sample thesis that you can see how a paper is structured, and we will also provide you with this document, scientific writing document, which is very helpful. We defined this 2 years ago, where it's kind of lecture notes for what we're doing here. So it's about how literature survey are conducted, how writing is working, how you do citations, also very basic one-on-one on designing a study. So this can also be some helpful resource. This is also on our CoDislabGraz.org web server. So if you need help there, you can find the additional help. Here's some tips for further readings. The first one is a book written by Turibian et al. It's a really nice book on how to write, actually, manual for writers for research papers, theses, and dissertations. I really enjoy this book. This is structured in a way that you can get some information on how to write, which means their style of writing, but also how to do citations, how to improve your scientific English. So this is a really nice book. And the second book by Booth is The Craft of Research, which is also about how to conduct research, how to write. So both of their books are really dedicated to scientific writing, and they are really, really helpful. Now I want to talk about scientific publications. What forms of scientific publications are existing, how to deal with them, what they are about, and how to work with them. Usually we have different types of publications, and I want to give you just a short overview. I mean, there are more, but as I said, just a brief overview for everything you need for your thesis, or can be helpful for your thesis. So usually books give you a good overview about some topic. So you have a book about a dedicated topic like machine learning, or I don't know, introduction to data science, game-based learning, stuff like this. So this is mainly dedicated to this particular topic, but books have also some downsides. They need a time to be written, also the editorial phase. This might take a while. So they are great for some fundamental things, but when it comes to very, very, very actual and current research, books are not the best source. They're good for like some fundamental general stuff. Therefore, books are perfect. So they're a good starting point to get into a new field. Some things that also are important when it comes to books is there are a couple of ebooks. You can use our services like the library. They will offer you some access to ebooks, for example, or you really go into a library, like this physical process of going into a library, find a book, take it with you. This is also something you can do here at Graz in the library. Besides that, there are some sources that are mainly on the internet. On the one hand, we have journal articles, which means papers, basically. Journal publications means they're periodically published papers, articles in journals. So there are thousands of journals out there, some high ranked, some not that high ranked, some about the dedicated topic, some more general, and they are highly scientific. So a journal publication is something that might take also a while due to peer reviewing process, which give you the best quality one paper can have. Which means you write a paper, you submit it to a journal, and then there is this reviewing process. It is sent out to external reviewers. They read through the paper and give you some feedback on that. They can say, okay, this is quite nice, and accept it. They can say, okay, this is quite nice, but there are some issues with, I don't know, the study, with the related work, whatever. Then it's a minor revision that is necessary. Then there can be some major revision, which means the data is not that good. Maybe you want to conduct another study or something like this. And of course, there is a reject, which means maybe this is not the best format for this paper, or you can use or try it to a different journal because this is not the focus of our journal. And so this means they're usually really valuable. On the other hand, there are conferences. Conferences are very, very, very up to date. Usually there are conferences that can take place yearly, where researchers, scientists meet. They submit some papers with dedicated deadlines. They come to this conference, present it there, and the presented papers are usually then published as proceedings, and these proceedings can also be found in different databases. So you have very, very actual and current research with conference papers. And of course, there are also theses, which give you a good overview, especially in an early stage of your research. Um, this might be bachelor thesis, this might be master thesis, this might be PhD thesis, of course. So be careful with the thesis you're reading. It can be very good, of course, but it can also be not that good. So be really careful with the results and with what you're finding. Um, yeah, these are also students that wrote it, so this means they have some different, how should I say, they have some different requirement when it comes to quality of research and stuff like this. So yeah, be careful with that. But usually, this can be a good point to find other research papers as well. Yeah, where to find publications. So I divided this into two steps, like the basic things, which you might be fine at the beginning to get some overview, especially when you have a topic where a lot of research is already there. And on the other hand, I divided this into the second one, which is the more advanced part of finding publications. So something that I really enjoy using is Google Scholar, which is a database with a lot of scientific literature. So it's like Google search, but for publications and for scientific work. So you can use different key terms, search by them, query data, find them. There are a lot of journals and conference proceedings, also books in there. Especially when you use the access from university, you will get a lot of information there. So this is really helpful for you. Especially in the field of computer science, I would also suggest to use the IEEE Explore, which is a digital library from the IEEE, which you might know. So the IEEE has a lot of conferences, a lot of journals, which means you will be very happy by searching in there because you will find a lot usually. Similar to the IEEE is the ACM, and also the ACM is providing a library, a digital library. You will also find a lot of computer science and technology related stuff in there. And of course, I want to mention Scopus, which is a database with also bibliometric information, which means you will also find a lot of stuff there. This is not only very dedicated to computer science and technology, so you can also give it a chance to find something on Scopus. As I said, basics. You will find a lot of there, maybe 90% for a general topic. I don't know. You will find a lot there, but there's also the advanced way, and I want to give you some hints on that because this can also be very interesting for you. On the one hand, you can do something that is called bibliographic mining or backwards citation searching, which means you find a literature paper, go to the reference section where all the bibliographic information is, and see if you can find something there. So even though it's a topic or a paper which is maybe not 100% suitable for your purpose, try to read through like the related work, and maybe you can find some literature that seems helpful for you, which means you go to the last section. So usually the last section are the references, and see if there is something helpful for you. This is one hint. Another thing is search for journals and conferences within this field, which means, as I said, there are a lot of conferences which are very well known in a certain area. I don't know, maybe for computer science education, it's the SIG CSE, so the Special Interest Group for Computer Science Education from the ACM. So there are a lot of well-known things. You can ask your supervisor. Usually we are aware of all the important conferences and journals. And then you can go through the publications there. Usually they have a website with all the proceedings and publications. You can go through them. So there's a lot of helpful stuff. And another pro tip is to follow scientific communities or researchers. So use different types of social networks, of scientific social networks. Twitter is a really cool source there for You can use ResearchGate. Also with Google Scholar, you can follow researchers and also get the latest information. Also use their websites. So usually you can find a lot of stuff there. Sometimes they're writing with other researchers as well. Maybe there is something that can be suitable for you. Some other hints and tips and tricks: use a VPN. So this is really important when it comes to accessing data. A lot of things are behind journals, and then you of course have to pay a lot of money to get access to them, and usually you don't want to do this because you don't want to spend so much money for your thesis. Use a VPN, and then usually behind the TU Graz VPN you will have a lot of data. You will have a lot of access to all the important journals that you need. As I said, even to books, so use a VPN. Another nice idea is to contact the authors. They don't mind. So usually a lot of people writing to authors, to researchers, and of course they are often very nice and helpful. They will send you the paper probably. This is something that is not strange, really. This just shows the researchers that you're interested in their work. So please do this. They will give you some information if they can. And another important thing is to replace keywords, which means you can try other keywords that are somehow very similar. I have this example here. Use, for example, computer science instead of informatics. And there are a lot of things like programming with coding. So stuff like this. There are a couple of words that seems to have the same meaning, but within a community it is used different. So try to replace them. This can really help you to find some better results, especially when using like Google Scholar or one of the digital libraries. Try to replace the keywords, play around a bit with them. This will really help. And this is also why assignment 1, this concept map, this mind map, give you good overview, so you can use these key terms to rephrase your queries. Now I want to go to something different, to the structure of a paper. So usually we have this structure of a paper. When you find some paper, especially in the field of computer science, they are all structured very similar. So it's a form of text. At the very beginning, we have the abstract. The abstract is like a mini paper. It's usually around 100 to 200 words and giving a compact overview on what the paper is about. So why are we writing this? What you can expect from it? Also the results. So it should not be just a spoiler. It should also summarize the paper in a very, very short manner. Then you have the introduction. In the introduction, you have also again the motivation. You will have the research questions stated. You will get some contribution of the authors, and of course, you will also get some outline, how the paper is structured, how you should read it. The next section is the background and related work. It's like the fundamental theoretical thing of the paper. This means when it comes to similar work, when it comes to modules that you're using, that you should explain that someone understands it, then background and related work is the section you're searching for. Then it comes to the method section, where you explain how you conducted your research. So what do you do? How was it about? And then there is the results section, and this is the more or less continuing part of the methods. So on the one hand, you have the methods where you explain what you will do and how your system is working, how your data is, and then you explain what you found in the results section. And also following on that, you have the discussion and conclusion, where you, as it said, conclude what you did and you discuss what you did. So what are the implications? What does this mean for research, for, I don't know, yeah? So this concludes and discuss. And then of course you have the references and maybe an appendix like with data and also some, I don't know, survey, whatever. The way you read a paper is not the way a paper is structured. So you don't go usually linear, like abstract, introduction, background, related work, methods. You don't go in this step down. You have a different way of reading a paper, or at least how we would suggest you to read a paper. As I said, abstract, first thing in a paper, and overview, mini paper. So read this, and then you can decide: is this valuable for me? Is this meaningful for me, or not? After the abstract, you should be in the position to decide: should I have a closer look at the paper or not? Then you continue with the next part, with the discussion, the conclusion. So after reading the abstract, go to the conclusion, go to the discussion, and see: is this interesting for me? Are the results somehow meaningful? Can I have some personal benefit when reading this? Should I continue? Maybe you want to go a step down to the references. As I said, if if the paper is not meaningful for you, it might be meaningful in a way to find some useful resources. So reference mining, yeah. After the references, go step by step. Go to the introduction, go to background and related work, skim over it, read it carefully, how you wish, depending on what you need. Go to the methods and go to the results as well. So this is usually how we suggest you to go through a paper to like save a lot of time, because you don't need to go over each paper chapter by chapter. Maybe after one or two sections, you are already aware: do I need this or not? Next step is to identify the quality of a paper. So just a few tips what you can do. First of all, Google Scholar will help you with that. Also the digital libraries, so IEEE Explore or the ACM Digital Library can help you with that. On the one hand, they will give you information on some bibliographic information, such as when was it written, who wrote it, where was it published. So this is also interesting. And so you can get some information about that. Also some scores and metrics. And these metrics can be the H index, the Hirsch index. This is an indicator over a period of time, how often was it cited, which has like the impact on the paper. Speaking about impact, there's also something called impact factor. This is usually relevant for journals. The impact factor, I will show you in the next slide how it is calculated and what does it mean. But this gives you information about the quality of a certain journal. And when you see, okay, the impact factor is, I don't know, 0.4, then this means something different if the impact factor is higher than 10, for example. So this gives you information about the quality of a paper. Is this a journal where it's easy to get in, or is it one, I don't know, with a very low acceptance rate? And of course, also the number of citations. Using Google Scholar, using ResearchGate, using IEEE Explore, you will get all the information about the citations there. Of course, if you have more citations, this means a lot of researchers were interested in that. And this is somehow, of course, some good thing of a paper. On the other hand, if it's like cited once or twice, this means maybe it's not that good, especially when it's already published like 10 years ago, then the relevance was not that important. Of course, the type of publication. Is it a bachelor thesis, or is it a journal, a high ranked with a high impact factor? So you should check, how is the type of publication? Is this important for me? And of course, the publication date. Is it a paper that was written like 50 years ago, which will, I don't know, give you information about the latest usability issues? Then this might not be that interesting than a paper from 2020. So also have a look at the publication date. Especially computer science is a very actual and up-to-date discipline. So have this in mind as well. Speaking about impact factor, I just want to briefly show you how this is calculated because this might be interesting for you to know how such impact factor can be calculated. So when you want to figure out what the impact factor for a certain year for a certain journal is, you have to look at the 2 years in before. For example, we have journal X, which has 7,025 citations to all articles in this journal. So not just for one, for all the articles in 2019 and 2020. So on the one hand, we have the total number of citations in this journal for the 2 years. And on the other hand, we have the number of articles that are published. And then you divide them. And then in this example, we come to impact factor of 13.72, which is awesome. So this must be a brilliant journal. This is a really good journal. So everything above 10 is brilliant. It's excellent. So yeah, have a look at the impact factors, but usually it is calculated with 2 years. So there are some different like impact factors and metrics, but usually the last 2 years, and then you can see how the impact of such a journal is. Also, there are conference ranks and there are websites where you can see conference ranks, and this can also give you some idea if this is a star conference, which means wow, awesome, or if it's like a B or C conference. Okay, last thing that I want to mention is just to give you a brief overview of research questions and how to define them, which of course is also a task for the first assignment. So research questions in general should be clear. They should be focused, concise, complex, and arguable. Which means you have a very clear and focused question. It shouldn't be very general, meaning if you want to investigate the usability of your platform, then a boring or hard to answer research question would be, how's the usability for this particular group of students using this platform or whatever. This is quite general, because what is usability actually? What do you want to know about the platform? Which usability factors? So this should be really concise and also complex. Not meaning that complex is about it must be very complicated. Complex means you should give also some room to argue and also to write about. It shouldn't be a yes or no question like, is this system more suitable than this system? Then the answer is yes, but why? So there should be room for arguing. I've linked you a document down there, this direction, sorry. And then you can use this to get an overview. There are a lot of resources about research questions. We've also linked you something in the course as well, and also in the document. So go through this. This also is somehow related to your topic. And there are a lot of resources. And of course, this should also be your task to think about research questions, to research a bit about research questions. Just an example of a research question that we stated. So how does an introductory MOOC on coding increase the quality of programming skills through a university programming course? So it's not a closed question, it's an open question, which gives you room to argue. It gives you room for complexity to answer this question. And it's very clear that we want to talk about the quality of programming skills. The MOOC is a introduction or a university programming course. So this is very narrowed down to something very particular and not very general. So this is important that you keep in mind. You want to find some arguable, some questions where you wanna give some complex answers on that. Yeah, basically that's it for the first session, which should also, on the one hand, give you an overview about the course, but as well should yeah, that's it for the first session. On the one hand, we wanted to give you just a brief overview about what the course is about and the organizational structure. On the other hand, we want to show you how some basic things are working when it comes to scientific working, scientific writing, and we will continue on that. So the next task for you is to do the first assignment. We have next block in person or online, depending on the situation, and then we will continue with the next step. So I'm glad you watched the video, and in case you have any questions, please contact us, and then we are glad to help you, of course. Bye.